everyone, this is your Unemployed Chef. Today we'll be making some homemade buttermilk pancakes. What you're going to need for today is 2 lightly beaten eggs, 3 tablespoons of melted butter. You're going to need about 1 1/3 cup of flour, 2 cups of buttermilk. I made my own buttermilk substitute. For this, if you don't have buttermilk at home, all you have to do is get your milk to room temperature, and for every cup of milk, use 1 tablespoon of white vinegar, and you're going to let that sit for about an hour or so or more until it curdles. It's best to actually do this process overnight. Just make sure that you know that you're making pancakes the next morning, or you could just buy buttermilk, but that's an option. About 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So let's get started. Right now I have my pan on a low-high heat. I have some melted butter in my pan just so my pancakes won't stick. And I'm actually going to start with my dry ingredients first. So I'm going to measure out my baking soda first. So I'm going to do 1 teaspoon, not tablespoon, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And no, it's not the same thing as baking powder. And it's very, very important that you have the right ratios. So that's 1 teaspoon. And then I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Make sure you get that nice and level. Next is my 1 1/3 cup of flour. So I'm going to use this small glass bowl. This measures exactly 1 cup, so I'm just going to use this. So 1 cup in. And I'm going to mix it so everything is incorporated. And then I'm going to add in my other third. Okay, that's it for my dry ingredients. Give it a nice whisk. Next, I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of sugar. It's going to provide my pancakes a little bit of sweetness, and it's going to tone down the acidity of the buttermilk. Give that a good whisk. Then I'm going to add in my buttermilk substitute, or just buttermilk. And it's okay if your batter is just a little lumpy. And what you'll notice in the next minute or so, that everything will bubble up and the volume will expand due to the chemical reaction of the buttermilk and everything else. So here are my 2 beaten eggs. And my melted butter. So just give that a good whisk again. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to make sure everything is mixed and still keep those lumps. And try to scrape off any extra batter off the bottom. I'm going to have to use my spatula and take care of that. That extra stuff off the bottom. And make sure to go around the edges. And as you can see, it has a lot of volume now. And now we are ready to eat. So at this point, your pan should be at a low-high heat, which is about 6 on my stove, or better yet, medium-high heat. And I put about 1 tablespoon of butter in the pan. You may have to put more as you cook, but make sure that your bottom of the pan is lubricated. And I'm just using this ladle because it's very easy for me to just pour my batter this way. Like so. I prefer my butter to be a little bit brown because it tends to give my pancakes more of a harder griddle taste, but that's your preference. And we're going to cook this until there's a lot of bubbles forming in this area. So that's in about 2 minutes. And I'm just going to add just a little bit more. But this will still, even though it's not much, this will still be a thin pancake. These aren't super duper duper fluffy pancakes, but that's just, your preference if you want a very fluffy pancake. These are thin or just old-fashioned style pancakes. And if you have a pan about this size, I would say this is about a small frying pan or a medium-sized frying pan. They're perfect because you can get a very nice circular pancake. And if you use a bigger frying pan, your pancake won't spread out everywhere and look as ugly. Sorry. I make the pretty pancakes. Okay, so this is around the 2-minute mark. So if you see bubbles like this forming, that's a good sign that your pancake is ready to flip. And also, if the batter isn't runny, that's also a good sign. So now we're going to flip, loosen the edges around the pancake so it doesn't rip. Make sure you get your spatula all the way under. Get a good balance, and then we're going to flip. Ready, set, and go. Bam. And then we'll let this cook for another minute or so, since it has been cooking on the other side for about 2 minutes. So my timer is up, and now we're going to check the bottom. And it should be cooked by now. Let's check the bottom, and that's perfect. And there you have it, folks. Please leave a like and subscribe, comment, share, and complain. These are my delicious homemade buttermilk pancakes, old-fashioned style. I have topped my pancakes with some strawberry slices. They're a really good complement to pancakes. Or if you do have another type of fruit, you can use blueberries, mix them into the batter, and make blueberry pancakes. Pancakes just have so many different uses, and they're just so versatile, and don't forget, delicious. This is your unemployed chef, and always chase that yum.